According to his representatives, Floyd Mayweather has just responded to Mike Tyson's medical issue by advising him to postpone his bout with Jake Paul. This past Sunday, Mike Tyson encountered a medical problem while traveling from Miami to Los Angeles. At first, there were few details regarding the incident, such as whether Tyson was removed from the aircraft, which had already experienced a 2-hour delay in Miami. Touch Weekly broke the story first, characterizing the incident as an apparent medical scare. A source informed Mara before the paramedics arrived, Mike had some sort of medical emergency aboard the plane, and the flight issued a notice requesting a doctor. The message even appeared on everyone's screens. The stewardess was very talkative and asked them to stay on the plane after landing so that paramedics could board. The source mentioned that Mike Tyson was seated in first class while they were in an exit row. The stewardess implied that the passenger in question was very important and that they wanted to ensure his well-being. He was in first class, but we were in the exit row, and the stewardess was quite talkative. She begged us to stay on the plane until the paramedics could arrive, saying something like, "We want to make sure he's okay because he's a really important passenger." She nodded in agreement when I said, "Mike Tyson," even though I knew it was him. Tyson's representatives had told the newspaper that the aircraft had been delayed because of an air conditioning issue, dispelling any rumors that Tyson was experiencing a medical emergency. Tyson's team swiftly addressed the situation, dispelling any confusion by explaining that Tyson experienced an ulcer flare-up. Just as the flight was preparing to touch down, they assured everyone that Tyson is in good spirits. And all is well, nevertheless, there are always those ready to exploit any circumstance. They said, "Thankfully, Mr. Tyson is doing great. He became nauseous and dizzy due to an ulcer flare-up 30 minutes before landing. He is appreciative to the medical staff that were there to help him, however. It's false reporting that his medical attention caused the flight delay. This 2-hour delay was due to air conditioning issues on the aircraft. Latest updates further reveal that Mike Tyson will be able to fight Jake Paul this summer. Concerns had already surfaced regarding Tyson's decision to fight at the age of 58, which will be his age when he steps into the ring in Texas. This July, Nathan Howard, the Development and Operations Director at the Concussion Legacy Foundation UK, has expressed worry that Tyson might be at risk of sustaining a brain injury. According to Health, boxing carries a pre-existing risk of concussions, as well as an elevated risk of traumatic brain damage, which can manifest as brain hemorrhages. Although there is no proof that Mike, an older boxer, would be at risk for that, we are aware of the effects of subclinical concussions. Health continued, saying that head impacts are known to raise the risk of conditions like chronic traumatic and concussions. He said that blows to the brain that cause damage, even those that result in subconcussions, are just as important even if they are not visible. This is especially significant for someone like Mike Tyson, who has played the sport for a long time. He continued by saying that the earliest boxing cases that have been documented date back to the 1930s. As for the risk of boxing to CTE, he said, "We still see that there's no definitive idea of what the risks would be." However, he noted that as a 57-year-old, there is undoubtedly a rise risk in terms of that age profile, which could potentially have a greater impact on an older person. Jake, following the boxing legend's medical emergency, Paul took issue with rivals KSI and Dylan Dennis for sharing outdated pictures of Mike Tyson in a wheelchair. Although the photos were taken 2 years ago, KSI and Dennis, who have long-standing rivalry with Paul, shared ones of Tyson in a wheelchair. The former heavyweight champion later confirmed that Tyson was suffering from a sciatica flare-up at the time, as he informed Newsmax at the time. "Everybody in my house is truly blessed, and we're all very grateful for whatever we have. However, every now and then I get sciatica, which flares up, and when it does, I can't even talk. Thank God. Paul used social media to repost a message from his promoter that read, "Similar individuals, KSI and Dylan Dennis, both shared an image of Mike Tyson from 2 years ago with the intention of misleading." With reference to Tyson's health, their audience after an ulcer flared up on a cross-country flight, Mike Tyson is feeling terrific. However, worries about Tyson's health have persisted as his fight with Paul draws near. After a dull exhibition contest against Roy Jones Jr. in 2020, Tyson is scheduled to take against him in a professional fight that will endure 8 two-minute rounds and be documented on both combatants' official records. After Tyson's retirement on his stool in the 5th round of his most recent professional fight against Kevin McBride, Ryan Garcia has entered the conversation by taking advantage of the news. Although Jake Paul is his brother, Garcia boldly declares that he is prepared to step in for Tyson if needed. Garcia even sent Jake Paul a direct message on Instagram saying, "If you are down to fight, and if Mike can't do it, let me know and I will fill in." While Tyson already instills fear in Paul, facing off against a boxer at the height of his abilities poses an even greater risk for Paul, especially given the large weight difference between them. Nevertheless, the fight won't happen. Paul quickly responded to Garcia following the publication of the post. Paul stated that everyone is attempting to harm this fight and attack me in any way possible. You should be aware that Garcia will not be taking over for Paul and Tyson in their continuing combat, which will continue until further notice. In another turn of events, Garcia might just be thinking about the money. Carl, according to what FR has said, Mike Tyson's fight agreement with Jake Paul will place restrictions on him. Tyson may face financial consequences if he pursues an early knockout. According to what FR has heard about the contracts, he will allegedly receive a lower payment if he wins in round 1 or an even lower payment if he is successful through a knockout. This is because of the significant age and experience gap between the two fighters. Regarding the battle, FR has expressed their opinions loudly, and that it is a gimmick match. Speaking about the fight contract, FR has openly criticized the YouTuber and threatened to come out of retirement to destroy the influencer's career. He also mentioned that, although it hasn't been verified, he may be subject to a pay reduction if he goes out and destroys Jake. While Paul was preparing for their unannounced summertime encounter, Mike Tyson is known to have shown him a number of frightening training movies. Paul admitted to being anxious after seeing the video, but he has bulked up to heavyweight in an attempt to injure Tyson with his own strength. The boxing legend's trainer, Rafael Cordo, has declared that he intends